Let's talk about my first experience on online bidding with auction.com. There was a property in North Dallas which they placed for bid in November. Had a client who went in, bid on the property, did not win the bid. Supposedly they did sell it at that time. I can't remember the price, but at any rate we assumed it was gone. 2 weeks later, I received information from auction.com that the properties that had not sold at the original auction were going up for final auction the end of November. So once again, my customer looked at the sheet of properties that were available. This particular property was showing available again. So once again, she went in and bid on the property. The price on the property was $79,000. They started at some very low bid, but at any rate, she then received notice after bidding on the property, getting the final bid. She was sent the contract to sign to purchase this property. And that was on a Saturday. On Monday morning, I called the title company in order to get a title opinion prior to her signing the final contract. Very interesting. The attorney said, "Gee, I'm really sorry, but that property is closing tomorrow." And I said, "Are you telling me you have a contract to sell this property?" She said, "Yes, we have a contract. I have just sent the HUD-1 to Fannie Mae, so I can assure you it is closing on the 30th of the month." I was amazed to say the least. So therefore I started calling auction.com. For the next 2 days, I spoke to no less than 20 people in that company, all of which I explained that the property was sold and that my customer would like to have her money refunded. Because when you place when you're going to bid online auction, you must put up a credit card with X number of dollars to bid in each auction. If in fact you do not win a bid, they're supposed to return it in 24 hours. Long story short, no one would return my call, and I think they finally all realized if I called just to put me on hold and never come back. So by Thursday I was a bit upset, to say the least. I then called the office of the president in California. He was out of town. So I spoke with his assistant, who assured me that this was a great misunderstanding and that they would get back to me immediately. By Friday at 4 o'clock our time, I had not heard from them. So I called the president's office again. He was unavailable. So I left him a message that said, "My customer is most upset. There is still a hold on her funds and we would like the money refunded." About 30 minutes later, I received a call from someone in the company that said, "We will take care of this immediately." My problem with this is they are creating mass confusion for many individuals who are trying to buy property, for realtors who are trying to help their customers buy these properties by actually putting them on the market when in fact they have contracts and are sold. It's a waste of time, energy, and effort on everyone's part. I have specifically asked auction.com, cannot tell you how many people there, could they please explain to me how and why this is happening? Obviously there is no explanation. In speaking with the title company that was closing the transaction on this particular home, they said this was not the first occurrence that they had had where they had a property that was, quote, either already closed or in the process of closing when they received a similar call as the one from me. We have all the documentation with dates, etc. And as I said, the one thing I've asked for is auction.com to give us some sort of explanation. But for those of you out there who are trying to buy a foreclosed property, I strongly suggest that you find a professional to help you. This is not an easy process. When you do buy one of these properties, you are buying it as is. If you wish to make an inspection on it, you need to do that prior to bidding on the property. I have other individuals I know which have purchased properties online later to find out that there were major foundation problems and things because they did not inspect the property. So, do yourself a favor. Take all precaution when you are dealing with companies like this one. HomePath, as I said, is a division of FNMA, Federal National Mortgage Association. They are being funded by U.S. Treasury for all the losses that are being taken on these properties. It's your money. It's time the American public stood up and said, hey, can we get someone here that really knows what they're doing in real estate? Thank you. To give you an example of the complete incompetence of the folks that are trying to negotiate these contracts on behalf of HomePath, on one particular contract, at the time, HomePath was willing to pay 3.5% of closing cost plus a 3% realtor bonus for any property which closed on or before December 31st of 2010. Now, those amounts only applied for an owner-occupant. If an investor were purchasing it, they did not get those benefits. So on one property, I actually went in, we made an offer, negotiated up to 6.5% less than their asking price, which meant they were getting the same amount of money as if they had sold it to an investor. To an owner-occupant as opposed to an investor. They would not accept the contract. They countered back at full price. And we, of course, said, no. That's one more idea of your tax dollars at work there, because that means that property is going to sit on the market for another several months with interest accumulating and more people going by to clean them again, I'm sure, that haven't cleaned, but they're getting paid for it.
What about the air fresheners?
Oh, I'm sure we always find those there. And I think we're paying a fortune for them. I'd like to have concessions selling them those things. You know, it's interesting to say the least.